our best to embrace technology as we move forward into this year. We have been in discussions with a vendor that will provide us a possible camera platform that will allow us to reach out to the community, our business partners, and our citizens to offer their cameras to be accessible by the police department through this platform, which will give us a wider network of capabilities of monitoring crime. Of course, we won't be able to access without permission, but many of you and many of our businesses already use Ring cameras and things of that nature that you share with us on a regular basis. And this platform will just expand that footprint. So I'm looking forward to getting that done this year to help us reduce and fight crime. I believe we have representatives on board specifically from District 4, and a portion of your community falls in District 3. So with that, Lieutenant Gailey, I think I saw him on here, on behalf of Captain Flynn. I believe Captain Flynn is out. Lieutenant Gailey may have had to handle a call. Captain Green, are you on? Or anybody from District 3, Sector 3?
Hey, Chief, I'm here with from Sector 4.
Okay.
Handling.
You look like the real police right now. There's nobody in the car behind you, is it?
No. I stepped out to my car because I have a 10-year-old inside that might be a little bit of a distraction.
I got you. Well, we will let you present and won't hold you up to getting back to your 10-year-old. What do you have?
Nothing much. The biggest thing is with entering autos, we stress to people, and we can't stress this enough, is to keep valuables out of the car, firearms out of the car. That can actually help decrease the amount of gun violence, because you wouldn't believe the amount of people that are leaving things in their car. And it's just as simple as people walking by, opening doors, going through your car, grabbing your valuables, grabbing your firearm, and walking on to the next house and doing the same thing. I'd also like to touch on pedestrians on Terra Boulevard. We've had a few pedestrians being struck on Terra Boulevard. So if you know anybody that frequents that corridor, or really any public roadway in the county, please stress with them that crosswalks are there for them, for their benefit, and for their family's benefit, because we don't want to have to go out to these calls as frequent as we are, especially with the warm weather coming. People are going to get out on foot more. So if we can kind of help each other out, that'd be great.
Thank you, Lieutenant. That's great information. I'm just add to what you said about our firearms issues and securing our firearms. As the lieutenant said, I highly encourage everyone on this call and throughout the county to stop leaving our firearms in our vehicles. But if you have to do it, then I would encourage you to get a lockbox that's secured to your vehicle seat, because what Lieutenant Gailey just described is crimes of opportunity. So if there's a opportunity for us to make it difficult for weapons to be stolen out of vehicles, we would prefer you not leave them there. But if you're going to do it in a secured box that's secured to the vehicle, usually through the iron post underneath the seat. But I'm leaning towards what Lieutenant Gailey said. When you get out of your vehicle, we prefer you to take your gun with you and remove all valuables. And hopefully that cuts down on the entering autos, because they are running rampant throughout the county and throughout the metropolitan area. Lieutenant, anything else we need to add?
No, sir, that's it.
All right, any questions for Lieutenant Gailey before we turn him over back over to his 10-year-old?
This is Judy Taylor, and it's not necessarily for him. It could be for the chief. I just wanted to mention that when you live near a wooded area, even you're in a busy subdivision and everything else, we have some county property that's Justice Creek and that whole area that's close to Sherwood Forest in there. And we have an issue with people. We think they're going in there and hunting the deer and everything that are up there, but that's really close. I mean, the houses are right there. You got Terra Elementary over in one place. You got Southern Road back over behind. You got the apartments on Battle Creek. And we, of course, have, informed Captain Flynn. He knows about this. We let him all know. But one night and then one morning, high-powered rifle and everything. And because the deer come up into people's yards and up on the streets even at night and in the morning, that's when we were hearing that. And this was like a week or so ago, and we haven't heard it recently. I wanted people to know about the fact that they cannot shoot these firearms off within a certain, I think it's 1,000 feet of any residence, business, anything like that. But they can't hunt in this area right up there. The bullets would go in the subdivisions and all around here too. And to encourage everybody to keep continuing to call and report anything. And if you can figure out who's doing this, how dangerous this is.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. I was totally unaware, and now I am, and you make a very good point, what we can do. And I see Sergeant Isaac on the call from the police department. We can post those ordinances and laws on our social media page as we work to identify who's doing that. And with the community's help, hopefully apprehend them pretty quickly before somebody gets hurt.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't see a representative for Sector 3 on here, but I was just on a previous meeting with the Sector 3 captain, and his issue is similar to what Lieutenant Gailey described as far as thefts and entering autos. So we've already heard a presentation to that extent. So I will turn to Sergeant Isaac and her community affairs team to share any information that would be prudent. And if not, then we will get out the way, as I see the commissioner has joined us, and I don't want him to kick me for running my mouth during this meeting. Community affairs, do you have anything? Hearing none. Commissioner, we yield the floor back to you. I'm turning my mic off.
Well, hey, thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. I apologize, everyone. I had problems just getting in. I don't know what's going on with my machine this morning, but I just want to thank everybody. Thank you, Chief, for picking it up and moving on. I don't want to waste anyone's time. I'm going to get to my piece a little bit later, but first of all, let's, do we have anybody from code enforcement? I don't know if we hit them yet or not, because I know we've been having a lot of blitzes going on, which has been great, residential and commercial, and we've got to do that to really keep cleaning up our community and to keep it at, well, to try to get it to optimal level sooner or later.
Commissioner Davis, I
Yes,
was
ma'am.
going to ask a question that the chief might know. It would have been for Warden Nelson or someone from code, but the chief may know this. Recently, the Board of Commissioners made some changes to one of our ordinances as to the definition of a code officer. In other words, they've broadened it into, in other words, that anybody in law enforcement or community, certain people in community development and code officers and all of these different people can issue, summons and everything else too. I was wondering if that's happened. Are there any changes to how we report those issues now? Or do we continue to report them the same way and then it gets sorted out as to who is supposed to look into this?
Ms. Taylor, that's a great question. Actually, the reason that adjustment was made, because previously, before code enforcement was transferred to corrections, the code officer always rests with the police department or community development. So there's no change in the reporting process. We just needed to expand that footprint because code enforcement was transitioned to corrections. So it needed to include an opportunity for a representative from corrections to be the code officer if needed. But as far as
because it's confusing to people sometimes, because they'll say, well, this police officer did this, but he's not a code officer, so how come he did that? And another one will say that was a code officer did this, and shouldn't a policeman have done that? So it just sort of opens up now to any of those could handle if there is a violation, I would assume.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. Well, but first, let me back up a little bit. I want to say, I don't know if you all heard, but our Lovejoy girls basketball team won the Georgia State 6A basketball championship last night down in Macon. I traveled down there to them. They played very well. So, I want to give a shout out to them, to everybody, and let our community know what they've done. So,
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
hey, how are you? And that's, go ahead and tell them a little bit about those girls. They did a fabulous
Oh, they're
job.
just awesome. This was just an awesome year. These girls went out. They thought they came for us, but we did it.
Yes.
Lovejoy High School with Coach King leadership. I mean, it's just phenomenal what we went through this year, but we brought it home. So we had a state championship, and also our cheerleaders had a state championship as well. So Lovejoy is leveling up. Look out, we're
There
coming.
you go. I tell you what, they're making Clayton County proud. So we just want to say
Yes.
thank you to all you've done to assist us with those young ladies over there. So we want to definitely do something for them and do something for them very soon. So we want to say
Awesome.
thank you to that. Also, too, I want to let everyone know that we have Amnesty Day. It's actually today until 1. And you can drop your large disposable items off at 3199 Anvil Block Road in Ellenwood or 6131 Riverdale Road in Riverdale. And that started at 9, it's going to end at 1. Also, if you want to just take it straight to the landfill, it's free of charge today. So if you want to take it straight on down there, that's great as well. We will be having 2 more next week on the 18th and 19th next week, and those will be at 1303 Government Center Circle right behind headquarters. You can begin to drop your items off over there next Friday and Saturday between the hours of 9 and 1 as well. I'm sorry, Friday is 12 to 6. And also, again, that is going to be free at the landfill as well. So if you have those items, you're doing that spring cleaning in that garage, which I have to do, let's get these things out so we don't see them on the side of the road. So that's what we want to do, and we're going to hopefully have these more and more coming up in the near future. Again, I've gotten some calls this week on it. I just want to remind folks that our trash burn, you can burn your leaves and debris through April 30th. So if you're going to be doing any leaves, debris burning through April 30th, but remember, you have to call fire and make sure that burning is permissible on that day. Is that correct, Chief? They have to call fire, not you, correct?
Yes, sir. They need to call fire.
Great. So we just want to make you all aware of that as well. We do have a past project on McDonough Road down there towards Lovejoy. We did approve a subdivision down there. It's going to be a smaller site, but I think it's going to be a beautiful amenity to that community, and it's going to uplift it as well. And I think we can begin to handle the roads and everything down there. So I'm happy with that one. Our road widening projects are underway. Valley Hill Road coming through Battle Creek. I know it's a little bit of an inconvenience, but I think it's going to do our community well in the long run as far as our economic development plans go, and as well as our residential safety goes as well. So we're looking forward to that. We know we have our government building is in design phase. That's good. Right now we're planning, especially with gas prices going up and other items going up as far as groceries, we're going to be planning some rental assistance programs here in the very, very near future. I will keep you all up to date. So if you want to get to the site, my site, and begin to look at that, but we've got to begin to do that. We want to be proactive instead of reactive on a lot of this. So look forward to that information. Also, too, Memorial Day, we will be opening the splash pad, which it's called, over at the beach. So we're looking for everyone to come on out, really tour it. It's a beautiful site. We've got some great amenities in there. We have the longest lazy river in Georgia in that park now. So we're doing things, and we're doing them at a grand way.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me, it's Spivey Splash.
I mess it up 10 out of 10 times. Spivey Splash.
Yes,
I will get it right within the next 2 years.
thank you.
Okay. So that's where we are. So I just want to give everybody that bit of news. We've gone through. Yes.
Hi,
Yes,
this is
Amora?
Miyoshi Bourget. I have a couple of questions
Sure.
about the opening of the pool area.
Mhm.
What is the capacity of that? Because I know that the beach is a lot smaller now than in the past.
I don't know that number.
Okay.
But I will find that for you. Let me write that down as a question, right? And find that information for you.
Okay.
They
And
have.
then
Go ahead.
I was going to say then also, considering the fact that it's a lot smaller. And I'm not sure, is Clayton County considering this a destination, or is it considering it like a local amenity? Because as a destination, in the past, with so many people, how are you going to handle the crowds or turning away people?
Well, it is going to become a destination. We know that with what we have to offer in that park, it will become a destination, whether we want to keep it local or not. We do have a maximum capacity, and we'll be able to handle that within the gates of that park. Once you come into the beach area, you can get through the gates, but that is another set of gates that you have to go through and pay a fee to get in there. So we'll be able to control that.
Okay, the last question that I had
Sure.
is, did they do any testing on the tubes? And the reason I say that is, and years ago when my kids were using the beach and using those tubes, when they came off of those tubes, there was a little bit of a lift and they would go into the receiving pool.
Okay.
In looking at I had a chance to look at the distance between the tubes and that concrete wall. It does not seem that there's a lot of room. So I'm concerned that with that, if that lift, because those are existing tubes, if there's still a lift there, are the kids going to hit the wall? So has there been any testing?
Well, they actually redesigned it somewhat. So there's a lot of new parts in that tubing there.
Okay.
How they tested it from an engineering, I know they tested it from an engineering standpoint, but as far as somebody getting in there, I'd have to ask Troy Hodges on how they did that. Okay,
they're going to need to test it with a human.
Well, I think that, yeah, I agree, and I believe they'll get down to that. We're going to have a couple things going on in there. Is Troy on the line? I don't know if I saw anybody from Parks and Rec.
This isn't the first one.
Okay, so they're not there. So, but we will jot down those questions and get back to you, Ms. Bourget.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. So we have that. So we don't have Parks and Rec. Okay. What do we have here coming up here? Now, I just want to let's get to the meat of it. We need to know what, as far as, and this is what my whole purpose of these community meetings are. It's to give you an update quickly on what's going on, give you a state of Clayton County, but then listen to you all to find out, where we're falling. What do we need to do? What issues are you seeing in your community? Chief doesn't ride around every community each and every day. I don't, and a lot of your others don't. Code enforcement don't. So we have to hear what's going on in our communities in order to address those situations. So I want to open it up and say, one, how do we get more folks involved? And two, what's going on in your community that we need to address? So the floor is now the citizens.
I would like to just make a comment about last month when I talked to you all about the situation in a place that I had in Mara. And I just want to commend Chief Roberts, the police department, and code enforcement. I spoke to you all that Saturday in our meeting, and then by Monday, they were out there helping to get the entire street cleaned up. And I just want to shout out a big, big thank you to them and how much I appreciate what they did.
Questions, comments?
This is Judy Taylor, and I want to talk trash a little bit. Talk trash. Okay, because we're doing a lot of different efforts, and I think it's great. And it's taking enforcement, it's taking refuge control, code enforcement. We're really working in trash amnesty days to clean things up. But there's an issue in neighborhoods that could be helped by either dealing with those current trash collection people and the people that live in the neighborhood. We have at least 5 different trash collections that come through our neighborhood. Therefore, you have trash containers out of the street almost every day of the week. And since you don't know whether they're going to come at 5:30 in the morning or when you're going to come, you have to put the trash container out the night before sometimes. Now, our ordinance reads that trash container is supposed to be secured so that the trash can't get out. You can't have animals get in it, insects, all those kinds of things. Well, at least half or more are not secured because people pile so much much trash in there that is stacked up as high as whatever. And at least 2 of our different collections, and maybe more, have that arm on the side. They don't have an extra person that jumps out there and makes sure that the trash goes in the trash. They use that arm. They don't get out there. It dumps over. And if you have all that extra trash in there, where's it going to go? And who's going to check to see? And then when they get through, they set the trash can back down. And half the time it winds up either in the street or whatever. But two things need to happen. People need to be, the trash collection people need to tell their customers that the can has to be secured or they won't pick it up, you know, and everything too. You can't just sit all kinds of trash around your trash can, and then it winds up all over the neighborhood, out in the street, everywhere else, and all like that. And then they need to be careful about how they pick it up and what they do also. So it comes from neighbors and people, at least more than half or more, stack it up to as high as they can stack it, and stuff is hanging out and it's all over, and it's that way at least 5 or 6 days of the whole week in certain areas and everything. We're hoping that maybe the county can help us come up with something in dealing with our trash collection people and help us with our neighbors to do what they need to do. Thank you.
No problem, Ms. Taylor. I think one, we got to look at it that part of the issue is a business execution model that they have that, you know, we can't really step into. When we have trash on the streets, unless we're seeing who's putting it out there or leaving it out there, that's something else we have to address. So we're going to have to be just diligent in cleaning our neighborhoods. And then us as private citizens have to basically, if we see trash in front of our house that we know we've piled our dumpsters up high and they picked it up, we've got to just be diligent in cleaning it up. I know 2 weeks ago, me and a group of guys got out, the Sunday Ballers, and we got out in front of Mount Zion, on Mount Zion High School, I'm sorry, and cleaned up the road all the way down to the county line towards CarMax. And we picked up about 10 bags of trash just in that small area. So I think we're going to have to just be diligent. We know we have folks that are just filthy and they don't care. They throw trash out the window and they think it's somebody else's responsibility. But we've got to accept it and say, look, this is our community. This is our responsibility. I see certain individuals, and I'll shout out one I see down on the streets. He just walks around and picks up trash sometimes. And that's Jean-Claude Bourget. He goes out picking up trash. I see another gentleman down on Walt Stevens. He just walks around, takes his golf cart, drives down the street and picks up trash. So we've got to begin to do our part in keeping our community clean.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Freddie Edenfield, I've got a few items I'd like to just run past you and folks on the county staff. One is the entrance to the beach area from Walt Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
When you come in, you got to make that hard left. Now, as that place get busier, I would think that some smart traffic engineers got to find a way to safely get us up to that exercise area and into the beach proper versus what we got going on right now.
Okay. Let me address that. Let me address that one first. We are putting a left-hand turning lane in there. Starting on the 19th, which is next week, we will begin paving within there. So those curbs and everything will be reconfigured for you all to get in there. Hopefully that's going to begin to fix the upcoming problem of congestion over there.
Great.
Okay, go ahead.
My next question is probably for Chief Roberts. I'm looking at just poor driving throughout the county. I could say throughout the state, but since I live in Clayton County, it's as if people have written their own traffic rules, and I don't know what they are. Others don't know what they are, and it's just getting a bit dicey. Is there a proactive traffic policing plan that law enforcement is implementing or can implement?
Well, that's a great question, and you're alluding to one of my challenges right now, personnel. Clayton County Police Department historically has been known for a robust DUI and traffic unit. As you know, nationally, we've seen reduced numbers as far as personnel and law enforcement, and Clayton County Police Department is no stranger to that trend. So We're trying to get creative. Of course, we continue to recruit aggressively and get the right people in this space so we can bring back our traffic unit and DUI units. Right now, those officers are answering calls until we supplement our numbers. Once we supplement those numbers, then you will see the return of a robust, aggressive traffic unit and motor unit to help folks comply with state law and county ordinances. But in the meantime, what I've been working on also is embracing technology to increase our camera footprint in the county, which includes school zone speed cameras and traffic cameras along Terra Boulevard and other major thoroughfares in the county. And with those cameras being monitored by non-sworn personnel, thus not taken away from our sworn presence in the field. So yes, it's a multifaceted approach that we're planning and implementing as we speak. Of course, funding is always an issue, but we found some funds that will enable us to expand our technology footprint and use that to curb our traffic issues, our traffic fatalities, and other crimes as we try to stand up a real crime intelligence center within the agency. So yes, sir, we're working on that.
Okay, thanks. And Mr. Davis, my last point, and I'll bridle my tongue after this one.
No. This is what this is for.
Is there a long-term strategic plan for the growth of Clayton County, a vision that's expressed by the leaders that I can and others can go and take a look at?
The answer is yes. We are required by law to create a strategic agenda every 5 years. I think it's 5 years. And we have done one. You can go out and take a look at that on the county website. Also, what I've done for myself is I've kind of created a strategic plan for District 4 and how I would like to see it grow, how I'd like to see it grow and develop based on a lot of the comments that I received from the community. How do we begin to transition from one part of the community to the other? I think these are important items to begin to study and to really look at. And it's a dynamic document because this is a dynamic community, so it doesn't stay the same forever. We know that our community has grown as far as our numbers have. We've increased. We are the 4th densest county in the state of Georgia. I sat back and ran some numbers. DeKalb is number 1. They have roughly about 2,800 people per square mile. We're number 4 at roughly about 2,200 people per square mile. So that's a lot of folks crammed into a plot of land. The median is roughly in the state of Georgia, but remember we have some extremely small counties. There's about 71 people per square mile. There's only 4 counties above 2,000 per square mile: DeKalb, Gwinnett, Cobb, and Clayton. So we've got to begin to look at how do we grow from that. But to your point, yes, we do have one. And if I need to go find that and send that to you, please send me your email and I'll get that to you. And anyone else that wants one, a copy of that.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks very much.
Anyone else or any more questions?
Commissioner Davis, this
Yes,
is for
yes.
Tina Moss.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I emailed you a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
I live off of Noah's Ark in Fairfield subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
There is a bar lounge type thing that's up on Noah's Ark now called Reflections. We had a discussion on the Nextdoor app a couple of weeks ago about how did this come about? It just popped up. Nobody knew about it. How did this happen? Was it a hearing about it? It doesn't fit the neighborhood. It shouldn't be in the neighborhood.
All right. I don't know anything about that. Usually if you're doing, if they're called a lounge or a restaurant, you know, we don't allow clubs in Clayton County. That's a general permit, business permit. There does not have to be a hearing on that. I'll drive by and see what's going on. You said it's on Noah's Ark. Where about on Noah's Ark?
It's
Is it
across from the Shell station, right?
Okay.
On one
At
side.
Strip Plaza?
It's yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Right
know
next to the
exactly what you're talking
daycare
about.
center.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Well, they can't be selling alcohol because I think they're too close to that daycare center.
Well, it's called Bar and Lounge. It's called
Okay.
Reflections Bar and Lounge. Bar Lounge. Bar and Lounge.
I will take a look at it.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. Anything else?
Commissioner
Over there on
Davis,
Noah's Ark.
yeah, oh, well, is there anything, this is Judy Taylor, I wasn't gonna ask you about that, was Noah's Ark. I don't suppose there's anything going on with that as far as where the golf course is or anything right now. I've not heard anything. I suppose there's nothing happening at this time that I would
No.
know of. But
That issue right now, Ms. Taylor.
all right, what I wanted to do was to
But
mention.
let me
Go ahead,
say this.
and then I'll come
Ms.
back.
Taylor, Ms. Taylor, hold on. But let me go ahead and state this. Though that is a dead issue, I'm still looking on how do we increase the traffic flow over there. Because that portion is a dead issue does not mean our traffic is a dead issue. So we're gonna stay involved in that to try to come up with a solution that is going to positively impact and reduce that traffic congestion over there.
Because it is still definitely, no matter, without even adding anyone else, a real problem right there at Noah's Ark, Thornton, Dixon, and right there too, the way that configuration of the light and everything else has got to be something done, more turn lanes, more whatever, and maybe possibly at the railroad track if there is anything that can be done. But we appreciate if you can work on that without adding more. I was going to ask to add on to what the gentleman was talking about. Is there a plan, your strategic plan? I wonder if it included, since we already have a shortage of EMS, police, fire, everyone, we're needing to hire more, and they're having a difficult time being able to have enough people to cover all the calls we have now. With all of the thousands of more people that are going to be added, with all of the over 1,000 or 200 more apartments, townhouses, single family homes, developments that are being added constantly almost every month. Are we planning for our protection from our police and EMS and fire so that they'll be able to cover all this when all of these new people that we think are going to move into the county and come into the county now that we're adding and developing so much in the county?
Yes, we always have to look at how well our citizens can be protected. And there are certain, I guess, what do you call them, variables that chief will put in, and also as well as fire, and how we grow our county. We've got to be smart in growing it. One of the things we do have to do, and also with this, is we've got to begin to increase, and chief will nod his head on this, we've got to begin to increase both our fire, EMS, and our PD salaries in order to get them just get them commensurate with the metro Atlanta area. Right now, we need to thank all of these individuals because all of them, including our chief, could go find a higher paying job by Monday. So we've got to do that. And we're trying to be smart in doing that, but we're also trying to be sensitive to our tax base in doing this. Is this something that we go ahead and increase taxes on? We've got to begin to look at that. But we are looking at it from all different aspects, Ms. Taylor, and also to how do we begin to control our growth? Where do we need to control it? How are our commercial corridors going to begin to thrive, and how do we begin to remanufacture and repurpose those and redefine those in order to increase our tax base? So these are the things we have to begin to look at and study broadly, but it's a dynamic model, and we've got to begin to study it each and every moment of each and every day.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis, this is
Yes.
Janice Arcuria.
Good morning.
I wanted to ask a couple of things. I
Sure.
wondered if you could give us some more information about the urban development project on Walker. I've heard that there might be some kind of an arts activities in there.
Mhm.
And I'm just curious, what does urban development mean? What type of thing is going to go in there? And also a second thing, I wondered if it's ever possible to have someone from the city of Jonesboro participate in these meetings, because there's a lot of things going on there that many of us that are unincorporated, go to Jonesboro all the time and everything, but we sometimes don't find out what's going on. And I heard that in fact there's a historical project going on, that there's actually a historic Rosenwald School in the city of Jonesboro, which is one of the few remaining ones that were set up many, many years ago to educate African Americans when segregation was in place. And it would be really nice for those of us who live in unincorporated area to know what's going on there in the city.
Great. Well, you know what? I like that idea, and I will reach out to have someone from City of Jonesboro on next month. So thank you for that. The Walker Nursery, the Walker Nursery property on Walt Stevens was sold about 3 weeks ago, I believe, 4 weeks ago. The folks that bought it want to do, they're calling it an urban village. They're dealing with, they want to put in somewhat of a small farm to table restaurants. They want arts, kind of it to be an arts gallery. They want it to be beneficial where artists and inspiring artists of all different kinds can come together and begin to learn how to do artwork, sell some artwork and things of that nature. There is nothing planned over there as far as any kind of night entertainment or anything like that. They want to have pathways that are going to really emphasize the natural beauty of that land. What I didn't know is over there behind that property is a pond over there that feeds into Lake Spivey. So I didn't even know that. So they're really trying to beautify that. They're putting together the plans now, which they'll bring before us. And hopefully maybe what I'll see about doing is once those plans have begun to be developed, to begin to share them with you all on this call in the coming months.
Thank you.
Okay, but I love what they're talking about though. Yeah. I do. I think it's going to be a asset to this community.
Commissioner Davis, this is me,
Yes.
Audrey Bourget again. I think that's a fantastic idea, and I think it would be befitting for this area also. Is it possible, as they're looking at their development plan, number one, to include the community, but also include something like a Sprouts or a high-end Lidl or something like that in that area? I think that would benefit those of us who are closer than Ingalls, and Ingalls sometimes doesn't have the freshest fruits and vegetables. So by putting something like that, something with a smaller footprint, I think that would benefit the community. Additionally, in expanding, if we can look at, I know that there are plans for the path, and if there's some way that we can connect the current path to that location.
We've talked about that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. They can drive their golf carts, they can ride bikes, and they can also walk and enjoy the beauty of that. So we become a more walkable community also.
And I'm glad you said that, because that's what we're going after. I think that's what they're going after as well, is to have it a very natural type of project. As far as the Sprouts, I've not heard them say anything about that. So I'll begin to look at that, begin to ingest some of these ideas to them and see how they feel about it. But we do need, like you're saying, we do need some institutions that are going to provide a more wholesome variety of meats and fresh vegetables for us.
And I think that by having something like that there, that will also, especially something like a Sprouts. I actually reached out to Whole Foods to see if they would be interested in purchasing that property, but it had been sold, unfortunately. I think that what that would do is really, really enhance the area, plus provide an anchor institution there to ensure the viability of that development.
Understand. Well, I will take that and pass that along to them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
This is Judy Taylor. They have the property that is in back of that property that's between there and homes on Walt Stevens, I believe, back up in there. There's quite a large piece of property back in there. You think it's all part of Walker Nursery, but it's not. And there was some talk about building in there and everything else too. But I believe the people that are doing the urban development would love, at one time talked about, they would love to have that property also, so that they could really have a natural, area, and a larger area to do more in there because they really don't want to involve our, like our gardeners and everybody else into that, do the plants and teach young people bring young people into there, educate them on how to plant things and how to look after a garden, how to do a lot of different things. But they could probably use that extra area, and that would be wonderful if they could do that. Have you heard anything about the possibility, or does the
Well,
person
they
probably
have,
want
I
too
don't
much
want
money?
to, well, I don't want to speak for the developer because they've not come up with their plan, but there has been some discussion about purchasing of that property. And that's all I
That would
want.
be great. If we could it would be good if that happens, but I know it has to work out because the developer has to be willing to sell that property and everything too for that to
Well,
happen.
it is for sale.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
for sale. And they've pondered with the idea of possibly purchasing it.
that would be great. It'd be a great piece of property altogether there.
Right. And they've already, what I've loved what they've done so far is they've already started, as far as the Walker, I still call it the Walker Nursery property. They've started already to clean it up and degrade it. So it's already looking better, even with nothing on it.
That, along with the addition that's going to happen with the water authority down at the end of Dixon Industrial, all the way down at Freeman, where they're planning to do a big area that reminds me of that, sort of, to where there's going to be the walking trails and the paths and the education areas. That would give us something down in that direction, and then something up in the middle of the county, sort of too, so that people could take advantage of something that doesn't cost a lot of money to do and could be very educational.
I think, and you all tell me if you want me to go a different route. This is your community. But my thought has always been, I want to plan for people rather than cars. That's just the way I see it here. We want to begin to expand our trails. We want to begin to expand, a lot of these walking paths. I think this is what is going to keep our community healthy and moving forward. And we've got to begin to, I think, take a vested interest in how we develop. And it's not about homes and tax base, but it's also about people and their health.
And that note, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, Commissioner Davis, this is Wanda with the Hand, Heart, and Soul Project.
Hello.
Hey, good morning. I just wanted to say, if you know of, I would love to speak with you or your office at some point. So I'm working with the USDA and a couple of other organizations. There was a comment earlier about Whole Foods coming into the area. We know Whole Foods is not coming to Clayton County. They're just not. They're not.
You're breaking up.
But building based. I'm sorry. I'm in a bad coverage area. Building a market type environment that supports the local agriculture of the community of Georgia farmers, so that it's not so much, the more big box stores that come, the more that we drive out local farmers, and we don't support Black and brown farmers. We don't support, our small milk producers. So if there are opportunities to work together, I'm working on a needs assessment, determining what the family, the communities of Clayton County want. I am looking for space to do not only a store market, but also that expanded garden education, so that it's holistic in nature. Would love to speak to your office about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you my number. And hopefully Denise type if you can type my number and email in the chat room, but it's 404.
Yeah, I have it. Your email just bounces back. Your email bounces back. Your email does not like my .org account. I'm just not able to get it at all.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Call me.
Okay, I heard.
Okay, call me and we'll figure something out and begin to just talk and begin to further understand your program and how it can benefit our citizens and others and the vendors.
Commissioner Davis, this is Janice, our
Yes.
Carrie again. Following up on what Wandy said, it might be helpful to have the extension office participate in your monthly meetings, since they are so involved in, helping local people who are growing vegetables or trying to take care of their yards or different things like that. And a lot of people aren't aware of the services that they provide locally.
Okay. Noted. You're expanding this
And
team.
And just, this is Judy Taylor again, and since you asked, I was gonna mention too, the perfect place for a little pocket park would be at the Noah's Ark where the golf course is. And I know the developer would not love that because he wants to make, as much money as possible. We do understand that. But what a not neat place, because there's no place for anybody right in that area to have a place to get out and do their exercise and you could do sidewalks, or, in that area and come where people from Deerfield and Bynum and off of old Dixon Industrial and everything could walk up and have a great little park to wander around in there too, and have some, a gazebo, something like that, and have it, and it would be just a good little exercise place. That's a perfect place for a nice little
Well,
park right there.
Well, right now it is still privately owned, so the developer did not purchase that land as of yet that I'm aware of. It's still privately owned by the gentleman that owned the driving range.
Doesn't he own part of the land? Aren't there two parcels there, and he owns the part where his business was before?
I don't believe so.
Oh,
Well, no, I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct. They do own the other parcel behind it.
that's what I thought. He owns part of it, and then the front part where the golf course is owned by somebody else right there, is what I thought. But that whole piece there would make a great little park there, and just a perfect spot for something like that. Keep it in mind.
Okay. Next one, person, come on. We're getting good information. I know I got to call Jonesboro for the next meeting. So, Mr. Curia, that is a high on the list now. Now, as many emails as I and Denise get, I know folks have some others. Tell me about your neighbors. Do we need to send trash, refuse control out? I will take my Saturday afternoon drive shortly around Riverdale and parts of Morrow and Jonesboro to begin to make my Monday morning report to Ward Nelson. But if you all can help me save on gas money, I surely would appreciate it here.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes,
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
This is Marva Wilson. I live in Riverdale off Valley Hill Road and Terra Woods.
Okay.
And I traveled 85 quite a bit. And between Bethsaida and Georgia 85, in front of the Walmart, there are several potholes that the road is pretty much falling in from all the traffic that goes by. I've notified Clayton County, and they told me that that was a state road, that they were not responsible for the potholes or taking care of Georgia 85 because it's a state road, that the state needed to handle that.
It is a state road, but we do handle potholes on some of these changes, and we settle it up with the state. But you say it's on Bethsaida by the Walmart? Is it on 85 or is it on one of the side streets? Can you tell me?
It's on 85. You're traveling north on 85. It's right in front of the Walmart. Right as soon as you cross over Bethsaida and 85, it's right there to the right.
Gotcha. Traveling northbound. And
one other concern, there's a youth center, New Life Youth Center at the corner of Eunice Drive and Valley Hill. Correct. And they distribute food and so forth to the community, which we appreciate them doing that. But the people comes in and they park on Eunice Drive right next to the center. And they do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And there are all kinds of trash being left from the people sitting in their car waiting to go into the center and throwing their McDonald's bags or their Church's bags or whatever. And my house is right across the street. And, I see all that. And I've called the county and they do come out and clean it up. But it's like every week I have to call and I don't always get somebody. But, I don't know if there's anything we can do to prevent the youth center, from Well, they're not the cause of them throwing the trash out, but I don't know if there's
Understand.
something
Yeah,
that can be done to encourage them to tell their customers not to do that.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll speak with them. I know she does a fabulous job over there with those children and the
Yes,
community. And
yes,
I definitely want to make sure that we acknowledge what she does. She's an asset to our community. But
yes,
you have
she
my
is.
number. Just when you see trash out there like that, just give me a call. I usually send in my request on Monday mornings to them, or even Thursdays. But just give me a call.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to do
Okay.
it. Because when I drive down,
All right.
I have my notebook or my phone, and I will just type in the section of roads that need some addressing to.
Okay, and one last thing. Is
Yes,
there
ma'am.
any plans for any businesses to come into Riverdale that will do a restaurant that is not a fast food place? There is absolutely no place to eat a decent meal in Riverdale.
Well,
Other than going to the fast food.
there's nothing that has come to my knowledge in unincorporated Riverdale. Now, the city of Riverdale, I can't speak for them. And that goes to another one that Mr. Curia talked about. I might want to include the city of Riverdale as well as giving some updates. So let me write that down to begin to speak on what we've got coming. But right now, I would just say no. I know of nothing right now this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is
Anyone
Judy
else?
Taylor again.
Yes,
Do
Ms.
we,
Taylor.
I know we don't have anybody on here, I don't think that maybe could answer this, but how are we doing with like evictions and things? We have a property in our neighborhood that we're waiting. It's such a mess, and it's been a mess the whole time. The people that lived in the house kept it a big mess, and we reported it all the time. Then these people left the house, or they said they were evicted. I have no idea whether they were or not, but they've been evicted. And the house has been empty for a good little while now. And every time I check, and code has done everything they can do under what they have to work with, but they say what it is that they're waiting on the sheriff's department to get with the owner, I guess, to do the eviction. And because the owner can't even go in there under law, they can't even go in there and do anything until the sheriff's department does what they have to do with evictions. And then they put all their stuff out on the front yard, and then it stays there for 3 more days. And then the people have to come clean it up. Anyway, the short or the long of this is that that's a big mess and has been. There's trash everywhere, and the house is horrible. They even went off and left their dog there when they left and everything, and we had to take care of all that. So is there anything going on that where I know they may be backed up with evictions, I guess they are, that we can look in to see if we can't move this along a little faster instead of giving these people so long to clean up such a big mess like that?
Let me ask this, Ms. Taylor. Is there trash in that yard now from an eviction?
I don't, you mean like, did they take it out of the house and put it out?
I'm not following you a little bit here.
No, they haven't
been
they
evicted?
haven't gotten to that part yet. It's just
So
the
they've not
trash.
been evicted.
No, they're waiting on, they've been, well, they said they were evicted. They must have just been left or got kicked out. This is the word we get. It's an eviction. They're waiting on the sheriff's department to get with the owner to do what the sheriff's department has to do to finalize the eviction to where they can go in and clean it out. The trash is all over the yard and everywhere else too now, but not from the house, you know.
Okay, so that's the first part. So if you can send me that address so that we can get code enforcement out there for that part of it. Second part is the eviction. The magistrate court handles the eviction and basically notifies the sheriff what to do. The sheriff just doesn't go out there and evict. They cannot just evict without having a court order by the magistrate judge. So
well, it's already gone to that far. It's already been, code enforcement's been out there. They've been coming. They came this week again, and they come all the time out there, but they are waiting on they said if you call code enforcement, say, tell me about that property. They're telling you, we're waiting on the sheriff's department to get with the owner to do the evictions and then put all the stuff outside and everything else too. They can't go any further. The code can't do it. They've been out there. They've been going out there all the time.
Code enforcement is not going to go into the dwelling, correct?
Right, that's correct.
But I'm talking about code enforcement just for noting what's on the outside if we need to find them or get it cleaned up. That's what I'm talking about. So, because I think there's two different issues here with it, and the other is the eviction process. So if you could just send me that address, that would be helpful.
I will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? We're getting close to that 12
Thank you
o'clock
for all
hour.
you do
Go ahead.
for us.
Oh, thank you for.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for all you do for us. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I know we're getting close to that 12 o'clock hour, and I do always want to be respectful of everyone's time. You all have my phone number and you have my email address. So if anything comes up, please let me know. Like I say, many of the issues that you all bring to my attention, many of these I know nothing about. So it does allow me to begin to move, to begin to handle some of these issues and to make our quality of life for everyone go up. So we've got to begin to continue to do that. And also, as well as some of the ideas, I love hearing ideas from you all, because it makes our meetings a lot more valuable. It's not about time, it's about quality of information. And I am going to jump on the city of Jonesboro and the city of Riverdale to begin to get some updates for them. So I want to thank you all for that suggestion as well.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes,
this is Judy Taylor again. I had a question. It may have been for Representative Bernal, but do you know about House Bill 1093 that would have prohibited local governments from regulating build to lease development projects? In other words, we have it in there now when somebody starts a new development, they cannot build that development in order to rent it out. They have to wait till somebody purchases a property and everything. That bill was in there that would take away the right of Clayton County to do that. And in other words, a developer could come build a whole subdivision and rent it all out and everything else too. And a lot of places send in notices, objecting to that bill, local municipalities. You don't know the status of where that stood or whether it got passed or not, do you?
That bill has not been, it's not even been voted on. I think it's still in the House. I don't even know if it's been heard yet. I can tell you this, a lot of your investment firms have consulted large lobbying groups to lobby on their behalf for this bill. We are totally against it. I am the chair of the ACCG Transportation Economic Development Committee for the state. And we have our Monday morning meetings about these bills that come to fruition all the time, or that are coming up all the time. But as far as, I think that's House bill. Well,
yes, it's House Bill.
I don't have that folder in front of me.
House Bill
anyway,
1093.
Yeah, I don't have that folder in front of me, but it has been discussed. What we have to do is be proactive. They're not only talking about allowing them to build all rental developments, but they would be owned and we would have no say so even over some of the standards that are infused in that project. So we're against it, and ACCG is against that as well. So
yeah, I sent my email in to Representative Bernal asking her to vote against it and to let everybody else in our delegation know that this would not be good for the county. It's taking away local control is what it's doing.
It is. So we're on top of that though, but we have that Monday morning call at 9 o'clock to begin to discuss what's going on in the Gold Dome.
Thank you though.
Commissioner Davis, this is Janice Arteria again. I need to thank Ms. Taylor. She sent out an email about this bill, which I hadn't even been aware of. But quite frankly, most of our local representatives are already opposing this bill. And what I did is write to the sponsor and the other people supporting that bill. I must say I got a very snippy reply back from the person who's sponsoring this bill, which basically said that anybody should be able to do anything they want with private property, ignoring the fact that the major issue was whether or not local agencies would have control. So based on what Ms. Taylor was encouraging, I think it's important for all of the residents of this area of our county to know that they should be contacting the sponsors of this bill and the co-sponsors, not just our delegation, because our delegation is pretty much already replied, yes, they're opposed to it. But we need to contact the people who are actually pushing these bills. And I wouldn't have known about it if Ms. Taylor hadn't sent an email.
Well, it's and I didn't think to bring that up to you all's attention. And I don't have that folder in front of me right now to address those bills that are in there. But yes, we are definitely against that. This should be a home rule type of decision here, not a state rule. So thank you all for bringing that to the attention as well. Anyone else? Well, listen, I want to say thank you all for joining on our call this month. Our next meeting will be April the 9th. And we're actually gonna go to some in person. So those that want to come over to the Lake Spivey Rec Center, we're gonna have a combination of in-person and Zoom. So I'd love to see some of you all over there. And we're gonna try to begin to move in that way. We want to encourage masks to be worn though while we're in there. So, but I want to begin to do that. But again, I thank you all for that. Upcoming events, we do have our Amnesty Day, which we talked about next week, March 18th and 19th. Please bring your items over to behind PD headquarters to begin to drop those items off between 9 and 1, but the landfill will be open, and between 12 and 6 on Friday. Our Get Fit Business Expo is going to be Saturday, April 9th. It's going to go from 10 to 3. We are expanding. We're going to have several physicians over there that will be doing medical screenings. And we want to encourage our folk to get out here, get screened. We want to keep you fit both physically and financially. And so if you do have a small business and you're looking to get engaged, please contact us for that. Again, that's Saturday, April 9th between 10 and 3 over at the Lake Spivey Rec Center. And we're also planning our spring Easter luncheon movie for our seniors. So we're going to be doing that April 16th. The site is yet to be determined, so I will be passing that information on as well. Any other closing remarks from anyone? Concerns? You all have my number, you have my email. I do want to make you all aware, yes, I am going to, and I put my papers in to represent Clayton County again. So I am going to be running for Commissioner of District 4 again. So we want to begin to put that out there. This is not the campaign platform, but I just want to let you all know that I am seeking re-election. So I thank you all for what you've done. I thank you all for what you do. And anything you have or need, please let me know. And have a great weekend.
You got my vote.
Thank
Mine
you.
as well.
Well, hey, we can't politic on county property. So this is county property, but I thank you all.
Well, this is Judy Taylor. I
have a
wanted to
good
thank
day.
you. I wanted to thank you for representing us, those of us that maybe could not go to Macon and see Lovejoy. We used to always go every time we had a championship team playing in Atlanta or anywhere around, we used to follow them and go. But it was great that you represented us with the girls, because I'm telling you, that's a big event, and that's quite something to be the champion in their area and their district and all, for us to have that from Clayton County. So thank you so much for going to that and supporting them and everything too. We appreciate that.
Those girls did a fabulous job. And, I played basketball at a very high level. And what I can say is they accomplished yesterday what I've never accomplished through my collegiate and on career. Is I never won a championship. We got to the championship and we lost in my senior year in college. So I applaud them. I'm jealous of them, but I love them. They did a fabulous job. So when you see those girls and anybody from Lovejoy High School, please just tell them thank you for how you represent our county.
And I'd like to say,
Amen.
Commissioner Davis, thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting you last weekend.
Yes.
And my husband and I truly enjoyed speaking with you.
Well,
And
I'm
keep up
glad
the
you
good-
came online.
Yes, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. And I'm challenging everybody, bring a friend on here next week or next
Okay.
month or to the meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you all. You all have a great weekend. Thank you, Chief Roberts, for all you do as well. And Sergeant Isaac, who always has the tight lip.
How you doing, sir? Have a good day.
I'm good. All right. Everybody enjoy yourself. Enjoy your weekend.